Hey, hey.
Hi, hola familia.
Hi, familia.
Welcome to another episode of LloronaPeroChingona. This is Edith.
And this is Yessie. Sorry, I'm not wearing my mask today. Like a little
so,
rough.
so today it looks a little bit different. Just a disclaimer, just because obviously, as you can see, we're not in the same place together, but we are just wanting to do this intro for this episode that was pre-recorded a couple of weeks ago. As you maybe saw in our socials, we recorded with some amazing content creator on Instagram, and you will know who she is in a bit. But we recorded this episode, and unfortunately, there was a little bit of technical difficulty, I guess you can say.
Yeah, we're still trying to get this figured out for you guys as well as for us. So, it's learning pains, or what is it, growing pains? Um,
Yeah.
but but yeah, just bear with us. I hope that you're still able to listen to all the audio and
Yeah,
everything.
if you have any questions with some of the stuff, you can perfectly hear our guest, and then you can definitely hear her. There's just probably some stuff from me or Yessie that you cannot hear from our mic. But if you have any questions from the episode that you hear today, don't feel free to reach out to us. Feel free to ask any questions or anything like that if you want to reach out to our guest for today personally.
Yeah.
But how are you, Yessie? Let's hop on our check-ins.
As you can tell, I'm exhausted.
I know it's been one of those weeks.
Yeah. So I know last time that we met, kind of talked about my birthday plans, and I just was so in love with like how my birthday turned out.
Mhm.
Um, because like I got these nails done. I feel like super glam.
Me
Uh,
I'm glad
I
they
love
still
they
are
love.
there. I was so afraid that they were not gonna last this long because
Mhm.
I do everything. Like, I mean, I'm like constantly doing a bunch of stuff, and sometimes my nails don't last that long because I'm constantly like washing the dishes or like doing a bunch of stuff, and I'm very careless. But
Mhm.
pretty proud.
Same here. I've broken nails twice already. I broke one nail and then I went to go get it fixed.
Oh, I
And
see
they
that.
fixed it for free too. Doornails on North Lamar. Love y'all.
They fixed it for free.
Yes, they fixed it for free. So I was pretty impressed with that. I was like, oh, okay. I'll just go before you change your mind. And
Nice.
then I was at the gym and I broke another nail. And I was like, I don't. And it was the Saturday was the day of the Besame Mucho.
Mm-hmm.
And so I broke this nail, the crooked one, and so I had to go to Sally's and get a new glue. But yeah, I feel like I've just been doing a lot lately, and I haven't had any time to rest. So today I'm like super exhausted. And yeah, Besame Mucho was amazing. I took my cowgirl boots, worst mistake of my life. I should have not taken it.
I know.
My feet were hurting so bad. And then I've been having like 6 to 7 clients each day, like Monday through Tuesday. So I've been working a lot. It's been taking a lot out of me. But overall, like life's great. Still wedding planning. Um, so yeah. How about you? What have you been up to?
I'm excited for you. I'm a little jealous for Besame. I really wanted to go, but I'm hoping that they're gonna bring it again next year and the year after that, or maybe sometime this year. But
Yeah.
this weekend I took over Instagram this past weekend, and then it was nice. I wish I had more to. I'm not used to uploading, so it's just very like, oh yeah, I have to post something. So it's kind of like props to influencers and content creators because,
Yeah.
girl, how do y'all do it?
I know.
I
It's
was just like, oh yeah, should I be taking a picture of this? And then like having no filter either. Like I could be like, I don't know. sometimes I'm scared of like, what if I post this? And like how you said, what if I get canceled before I'm discovered?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I saw that you went to the Texas Barbecue Festival. How was that?
Yes, that's so much fun. We definitely need to do it next year, Yessie. It's such a good it's a good like it's the barbecue cook off, so it's every year for the Austin Rodeo, and it's a Monday and Friday before the rodeo starts.
Mhm.
So rodeo is already active now in here in Austin. So it's rodeo season, and what the rodeo cook what the cook off, what the barbecue cook off does is like it's a bunch of like vendors, barbecue places, and they compete to become the biggest, the, the best barbecue, I guess you can say.
Mhm.
And they charge you like a fee, and then once you go in, there's a lot of free samples of the barbecue.
Yeah.
um it's by tip only, and then you get drinks by tip only too, so it's like
Wow.
you can get a beer by just tipping them, like they don't charge you, or you can get a
Mhm.
drink, they don't charge you. um I No, dude, we got there late, a little late, because I had to like clean and
Yeah, do stuff.
adult stuff. And I'm like, adulting. And then so we got there a little late, but we were still able to try some of the. I definitely recommend getting there early if you want to eat, because
Mhm.
usually like the food is a little earlier. But we got there like around like 5 or 6, and we still got un elote entero, like, so we got an elote. I got to try like 3 different barbecues,
Wow.
and it was all by tip. So you're
Yeah.
like the tips, what it does, it goes to the rodeo scholarship. So
Oh,
what it
that's
does is
awesome.
like there's for the children who are wanting to go to rodeo school. So all the money that they raise from tips goes to that.
Yeah. So
So
what
it's
was
pretty
your
cool.
favorite sorry to interrupt.
No, go ahead.
What was your favorite, barbecue?
To be honest, I wasn't even paying attention to the names. I But the very last one that I had, oh, I had a piece of brisket and sausage.
Mm.
Oh my god, it was so good.
And you don't remember
So
the name?
no, I don't remember, but it was so good. I wish it's because they give you like a map of all the names of the places, because whenever you go get it, it doesn't have like the name. Oh,
Mhm.
this is barbecue. So you have to like pretty much look at the map to read
Oh, I
whose
see.
tent, because there's different tents, and every
Mhm.
tent is a different barbecue or a different vendor. So
Yeah.
I mean, we didn't get the menu. I mean, I feel like if we were to get there early, it would be a lot better, because my cousins and some of my friends, they got there a little bit earlier, and they said that they ate a lot more
Yeah.
because they were there a little bit early. But it was fun. It was so much fun.
It looked really fun from what you
Yeah.
posted. So, yeah. Yeah.
Well, we're here on another episode.
Yeah.
With a little bit of shifting into our episode for today. We already gave our disclaimer and about the little technical difficulty. So we apologize for that. And we hope that you enjoy our episode with our guest for today.
Yes,
Do you
and
have anything to add?
yeah, I just wanna say, like, even if, like, if you're like me and, like, the quality really, like, messes with your ability to pay attention to things, like, really try to focus on this one and go on YouTube and, like, listen to it there or something, or just turn up the volume really loud in the times that when we don't come out. Um, because it's such a good episode. It's
Mhm.
such a good episode. We'll definitely have to work with this guest again. But it's such a great one that I would hate that for you guys to miss out on it. So I'm hopeful
Yeah,
that you guys stick through it on this one.
definitely. It is a really good episode. I was listening to it earlier, and it's really good. I think just turn it up a bit when we're asking the questions. But the only good thing is that our guest has a really good way of like repeating the question that we ask. So, I mean, I feel like it wouldn't be an issue, but we hope you enjoy it, and send us feedback on what you think we can do to better our, like, our quality and better the podcast. We're
Yeah.
on a learning journey here together. So
Mhm.
this is very new to all of us. So just send us any feedback if you have any.
That-
Enjoy the episode.
Bye. Hey, Jessie here.
Hi, Edith. Long time no talk.
I know, long time no talk. But today we are very excited to speak to the creator of La Primera Diary, Alondra Martinez. Alondra has worked diligently to create a positive community for first generation Latinos on Instagram since February 23rd of 2021. Alondra has worked hard to inspire other first gen Latinas and create more visibility for the first gen experience. La Primera Diary has reached over 14K Latinas' hearts, and I'm sure it's reaching more and more as you keep going with your account. Welcome, Alondra.
Bienvenida.
Thank you. Yes, Edith. Like, I appreciate the invite and being able to have this conversation with you both. And I'm happy to be here.
Yeah.
I'm so happy that you're here.
Yeah.
I remember the first time I came across your Instagram. I think somebody else, like a friend of mine, has shared your post, and I was
It's
like,
me.
"What was it?"
Yeah.
Oh, yes. I can't remember who, and I was like, "Who's this girl?" And then I went and like went more deep, and I'm like,
Yeah.
"Facts."
Everything that you put and make a post of, I'm like, this, I feel it in my heart. I feel it so deeply in there. Just because I think, like, as we were speaking before, the first gen experience is so unique and it's not talked about very often. And I've always felt very passionately about it, but like I said, there's no light being, like there's no spotlight on it. And so I'm really glad that you have this account to shed light on it, and that we have you here to talk more about it as well.
I know, it's exciting to finally see the creator of those motivational that keep
Thank
me
you.
moving every morning when I feel like I want to give up.
Yeah.
Oh, I appreciate that.
So, Alondra, ¿de dónde vienes? ¿Cuáles son tus raíces?
So, again, my name is Alondra. Everyone calls me Alo in mi familia or my friends, so y'all can call me Alo as well. Pero I'm born and raised from Jersey, specifically South Jersey. And if anyone from Jersey in general is listening, they know that there's a difference, which I'm sure in Texas there's a difference. But then my family is actually from Mexico, so soy de padres mexicanos, specifically del Estado de Mexico, and this pueblito called Coatepecarinas. But I had the opportunity to grow up, yes, in Jersey, but at the same time, my mom would bring us to Mexico, my brother and I, almost every year. So that's actually also how I was able, I think, to adopt the accent from my pueblo in a sense when I speak Spanish. But yeah, that's a little bit of where I'm from, and then I've kind of just jumped around where I went to school. I think we were talking about how I also lived in Dallas for a year. So, been everywhere. But Jersey's originally where I'm from.
Yeah. So tell us about your first gen experience. So I know with us, there's been struggles through basically every aspect of our life, from like going to school, assimilating, going to secondary education or higher education, and just work in general. How has that been for you?
I would say that my even just the awareness of being first gen didn't really begin for me until I actually went to college. So the way I entered college was through a program that specifically focuses on advancing first generation college students. So it's called the Educational Opportunity Fund here in Jersey, and it's a state funded program where I was able to go to school 6 weeks before during the summer, and then I basically took 2 classes, and throughout those 6 weeks, we had motivational speakers, we had counselors, we were in someone's caseload. And it's kind of there where this whole idea of, wait, what is first gen? This is a thing, like this is an identity that I can relate to. And it was kind of like an aha moment in my life during my freshman year of college, where I was like, wow, no wonder in high school and even before that I always kind of felt out of place in my experience in education overall. And then I would say that as the years progressed throughout college and even grad school, not that it became my whole identity, but I think it became something that I felt strongly about. And it's kind of also how I chose my career and what I wanted to focus on and my passions even now.
Yeah. So what did you decide on going for in school?
So I was actually started as a journalism major. So originally was not, before knowing what first gen was, before knowing like what my passion, the type of people I wanted to work with, I was like, well, I want to be a journalist. I want to be on Univision. I want to be on TV. I want to be in front of a camera. And everything changed though. Yes, like I wanted to be on Nuestra Belleza Latina, like the whole nine, everything, all of that. I was just so into it. Um, and then everything just changed from one day to the next, because for the first time in college, and this was my experience, I come from a predominantly white area, and I went to school in North Jersey. So I'm from South Jersey, right? I go to this school. It's a Hispanic serving institution. And for the first time, I see a Latina professional. And yes, I know, crazy to think that that's my experience, but it was. And it was like, oh, wow, I want to be like her. That woman today is my mentor, forever mentor. Mm-hmm. And I went to her and I told her, like, I want you to help guide me. And this woman's like, huh? Like, it's her job. Like, she's at that time, she was a counselor, but like something was just calling me to her that I needed her guidance in this new idea I had as a career. Didn't even know what major I was going to pick, but I knew I wanted to go to grad school because she went to grad school. Mm-hmm. Because for the first time I thought, oh, it's not just white people that go to college and go get master's degrees and doctoral degrees. Or I used to think it's not just the rich people, because I used to associate master's degrees and doctoral degrees with literally just white people and rich people. Mm-hmm. It was like, oh no, that's actually something that I can achieve too. Because my idea was that when I picked the major, I'm like, I need to pick something that in 4 years I can get done and I need a job and make some money. Mm-hmm. Because as I was like growing up, that was the idea that was always planted in my head. Like, you need to find something where you're going to make money so you can get us out of the situation that brought us here to this country in the first place. Mm-hmm. So all of that helped me, in those little moments, helped me to pick this major. It's called Family Science and Human Development. And that's what I got my bachelor's in, but with the idea that I knew I would go into grad school after.
Mm-hmm. I love it. I just feel like I can relate so much just from the very beginning of what is first gen. Like sometimes you're like, eh? Like, first gen, what, like, mm-hmm. ¿Qué es eso? Like, it's really hard to understand. Like, even, no, I'm not lying. Like, even whenever I was in college, like living the first gen experience, I didn't know I was living it until later. I was just like, oh, I'm a first gen.
Yeah, I think it connects a lot of pieces, like you said, like being in school and feeling like, feeling out of place, feeling like, like you have to do things on your own, even sometimes. It's such I think it just connects the piece of like this. It's not just you going through this, it's other first gen Latinos who are also going through this, who don't have the support to, or even know that there's other people that are going through it as well. And it's sad to say, but like I grew up in South Texas, and that's really close to Mexico. So predominantly over there, it's Hispanics. It's more more first gen Latinos. So it's sad to say that like even then, when I was in that community, in that space, I still felt that. So yeah, but wow.
But it's
And
it's like a whole different experience. And your experience, being around people who have higher education and everything, you thought about it like, oh, I don't know if I can be like that.
Yeah.
And us that were in a more Hispanic, a little bit more diverse community, we still had that same idea.
Yeah.
It's just crazy to think that as a first gen, like we feel like como cerrados, que we don't have that ability, but we do. And like you have your community of La Primera, that's what we have created this podcast to have our listeners believe in themselves too, that they're not alone, that they have like a whole squad behind them that will support them for sure.
Yeah. So, okay, so
and I think
go ahead.
Oh, no, it's okay. No, but I was going to say, I think that's why community overall is a big theme for us. I mean, we come from sometimes big families, or just family is important. But when you extract that, like that piece of community from family, that's the root of what we need. And I guess how we're taught that in a pact podemos todo, like we can accomplish anything. But at the same time, it's just like, it's at the same time that experience you have in the United States, right? Being first gen, sometimes like children of immigrants, we're navigating a whole different ball game. It's not just like, oh, our parents or sometimes us were the first people to immigrate to this country. It's like you end up continuing to live a life of many firsts.
Yeah. First for so many generations, for sure. Yeah.
Even just creating this podcast, even having this platform for y'all, like who in your family or in your community can say that this is something that they've done? Not many of us, right? Having a space where we can freely talk about these kind of conversations, or talk about us and reach that visibility of our community, and people that look like us, people that sound like us, people that have our stories. That's why this podcast means more than many people that sometimes maybe aren't a part of our community could even begin to understand.
Yeah, I agree. And I think same goes to your account. I mean, La Primera Diary, I know whenever, as Edith shared, it just touches this little nerve in my heart where I'm just like, it's like it's that it kind of goes back to those like inner child wounds of like feeling lonely and feeling like this is my experience and I'm going through it by myself, and I have to be the one who carries my family forward, kind of thing, which I think is something that a lot of first gens kind of experience as well. So I think a lot of your posts kind of hit that part of like, this is the first time I feel like validated with that, because it's not an idea that I just carry with myself. It's like others are also carrying this, which I mean, they must, because like your following is insane. How did you come about so you're saying that you went to grad school, but how did you come about with creating La Primera Diary?
So we were talking about this earlier, but I remember the night that I was brainstorming this idea. Like it came from just the research I was doing in grad school, trying to pick a topic for my thesis, and knowing that I wanted to focus on my own experience as a first gen Latina, but I just didn't know what, right? And then I ended up focusing on the first gen Latina experience and measuring like their sense of belonging in predominantly white institutions. But as I was doing my research, everything was so validating, everything I kept reading. And then I thought about social media, and I'm like, why doesn't something like this exist where I feel like this? I'm sure other first gen Latinas feel like this. A platform where women like me and other first gen Latinas can feel validated. So February 23rd, that night, I was like, well, let's workshop a name. And I was like, first, I'm like, La Primera journal. So, I think I also had a name called like Siendo First Gen. And then I thought about this growing up. I would go through, I would say I had a bit of a rough childhood emotionally, just because of things that were going on. And I remember always going to like a diary or just like piece of paper and writing down my feelings. Mm-hmm. And so the word diary and hits very close to me. And then I think as a teenager, I remember asking my dad, I'm like, can you buy me a journal? Because I wanted to intentionally, whenever I felt strong emotions, just be able to jot my thoughts down. So I've always loved writing. Never thought I was good enough, but that's another story. And then La Primera, because obviously it's like fresh and Latina, like no, I have to have that like piece in español for me. And then that night I was like, all right, La Primera diary. Mm-hmm. And I started making my first post and I was like, oh my God, this is nerve-wracking. Who's even gonna follow me, or who's gonna like care to support this, or what if I'm just crazy and other like first gen Latinas don't even feel like this? But I was like, no. I'm not gonna limit myself. And then I started posting, and at first I would post like consistently, and then I was not consistent at all, right? I think sometimes we have those moments. And then one day I was like, I need to be more intentional. And I would just look like what could work to reach more fresh and Latinas. And then honestly, just one day there was this reel that I made with like to every fresh and Latina. And that's kind of what kind of just started these quotes or these phrases and messages I would put out. And from then on, it's just the rest is history. I just continue to put messages that I believe I'd want to hear, or I believe that other first gen Latinos would want to hear in moments throughout either like the semesters while we're in college, or even just in the professional world, like us navigating being professionals for the first time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I love it. I feel like it's really nice to how I know that sometimes you mentioned that you went to grad school and everything, so you have a career, a second career, because I do consider La Primera as a career, full-time job. But for your other career, what do you do? What and why were you thinking about? Once you start sharing a little bit more, we'll go a little bit more into questions, but what's your second career?
So I did get my master's in higher education, and I am a product of a program that focuses on advancing first generation college students. So that's exactly what I wanted to do after. And that's exactly what I have been doing. So in graduate school, I worked 2 jobs. I had a job on campus that helped pay for school. Because, grad school is not unos dólares. It's a lot of money. Mm-hmm. So I had a job on campus that helped pay for tuition. And then I also had a part-time job as a advisor for the EOF program. So I was traveling an hour like between jobs like throughout the week. I had this hectic schedule. Basically was working full time. And then I actually ended up moving to Dallas, and I got a job working with dual credit students, which basically means I work with high school students, helping them achieve to get their associate's degree. And then I left. So I actually don't work right now. I'm looking for a new position. And it's been tough, but I will say that that's why I have La Primera diary, and I fully try to my best to invest myself into that. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like I've always in a way worked with first gen students, but it's just looked differently sometimes.
Yeah.
And right now it's La Primera Diary, and then hopefully soon I get to be able to continue to work again. And that is always the type of type of population I like to work with, just students from underserved communities in general.
I feel that.
Definitely feel that. And they need people like you too.
Yeah. I'm your
No, yes, and I enjoy it. Like working with students, and specifically whether first gen or low income, just underserved communities. I love connecting with people that are similar to me, students that are similar to me, only because I know what it's like to not believe in yourself, not think that you can't accomplish something. I've definitely been the person where I'll try to apply for something. Even college was like a mission to complete applications, because I would be like, what if they don't accept me?
Yeah. That's self-doubt.
I'm like, would bust my butt to get good grades, but still think that I probably won't get in.
Yeah.
And it happens to a lot of us.
It does.
Yeah.
It happened to me when I was going to college. Like even after, am I going to make it? Like while I was in college too.
Yeah.
Am I going to graduate? Am I just here spending time and money and giving high hopes to my parents? Like, it's all of these thoughts and self-sabotage.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So in a sense, what I guess inspires your posts, as you mentioned before, is your own experience and what you hoped to hear as well, and kind of the ups and downs of navigating the world as being a first-gen Latina. Do you ever like keep like a note of like, oh, I'm inspired right now, let me just write down something really fast, or just like ideas you get?
Ooh, girl. The way the ideas actually come about, because sometimes I will say this, in the last year, when it comes to the student experience, I haven't been a student now since I graduated in 2022, 2024 now, but I worked with a school that had primarily first generation college students. So sometimes I talk to my students, like first gen Latina students, and I will listen to them in an advising session, and I'm like, wow, this is something is happening here. Like, we need to talk about this. For example, when I had a student once, she wanted to study something, cosmetology. She wanted to go into cosmetology school. However, her parents were very adamant about her going into the healthcare field. And I'm like, oof, that is something common. When you want something for yourself, and you know what you want, but the people around you don't believe in you. And sometimes that's family, sometimes that's friends, sometimes it's our own teachers, advisors, counselors. And I talk about boundaries a lot, and how it's important to be able to practice the skill of boundary setting, because you're going to have that a lot while you're in school, and even as a professional as well. There are going to be people that you love that will not support your vision or ideas. And that's kind of how it happens. Either I could be having a conversation con una prima. She could be talking to me about just things she's going through in her career. And I'm like, oof, I can't imagine how many more other first and Latinas are going through something similar. And I just start to write. And I always write in a sense where it's like, if you are going through this, or maybe if you felt like this, because all of us aren't going to have the same experience at the same time. So for me, it's always important for also the entire community as a whole to know that you may experience this, you may have experienced this, or you may go through this, but many of us sometimes may have a very good supportive system at home, or may have mentors that help us get to our goals. So it's different for all of us, but yes, it happens in the most random moments, and then I'm like, well, time to write.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I guess like your process, is it like you're journaling essentially in your phone, and then you kind of go back and you pick and choose the different ones that you're like, oh, this would be a good one. Is that
Yes.
okay?
Yeah, I always start. I try to think of like the title, for example, because I always start as "To Every First Gen Latina," and then I'm like, well, what's the overall message? Sometimes it's hard. Like I get a little. It's a lot of like rough drafts of these very short messages, but there's rough drafts.
Yeah.
And then at the end, I always think, I'm like, well, what's my goal here? Like, what is my intention? I'm writing about this, yes, but what is something I want like every Primera to leave with?
Yeah.
And so I wouldn't say that like it's a hit or miss, but sometimes are things that there are going to be people that relate more to than others, and that's fine with me. At the end of the day, for me, it's like, as people, First Gen Latinas, scroll through the page, if there's something you relate to, great. If there's multiple things you relate to, amazing. And if you only relate to a little bit, that's okay. Because again, we're not going to have all the same experience.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. I love that there's so much intentionality behind every post that you make. Because it's as creators, we try and we know it's not easy, but I just it's but it seems like you really put your heart and soul into this, and I truly appreciate it as one of your followers.
I do too.
Thank you.
I feel like probably like once or twice a week I'll be resharing some of the things.
Yeah. What's going on the LloronaPeroChingonaPod story? So yeah.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now the true question. ¿Estás lista?
Okay, yes.
Dun, dun, dun. What makes you a chingona or a llorona, or what makes you a llorona and a chingona?
Ooh, I love this. Because I was crying yesterday. I would say, well, yo he sido una llorona desde chiquita. Like, tengo una foto that embodies my whole personality, because I love crying. I do, y desde chiquita siempre, like, I've been made fun of for having a childhood where I would cry a lot. But I think that's the most beautiful part about me, is that I'm okay with crying. I'm unafraid. I'm unapologetically always going to cry and feel my emotions. I don't care if I wear them on my sleeve. That's what makes me a chingona. Es que I'm not afraid to cry. No tengo miedo a ser una llorona. And that's what makes me a chingona, because at the end of the day, I can release everything I have inside in me and then keep going.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I love this.
I love it.
I'm like getting teary. You spoke to my heart.
So, girl.
Yeah, I love that answer. I think it is hard, especially in our Latino community. It is very powerful to hold your heart on your sleeve, and it's not seen that way for a lot of people. But I also think it's a superpower. Yeah.
It is. I think it is to cry. And I feel like as a first gen, as we're talking about first generation, sometimes like crying was always seen as a weakness. And growing up, we wanted to our parents wanted us to do better and be better. And crying was not one of those things. But like you said, llorar is what makes you a chingona, because you can't move forward unless
you actually let it out.
Yeah.
Exactly. I think it's the strength at the end of the day. Porque cuánto de nuestra gente like cry behind doors.
Yeah.
Or just hold it in for years and years. And I just can't imagine. I can't. I don't think I could function and accomplish anything if I were to just hold in.
Yeah, well, what a lot of
everything.
people don't know is that when you do hold in all that pain, all that fear, all that anger, is it can literally become an actual like physical thing. Like it can become an illness, it can become a cancer, it can
Mm-hmm.
become, I don't know, liver problems.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's important to let all those emotions out. So yeah. Do you want to do the last one?
Yeah. So our very last one is any advice that you might have for any primeras out there, any primeros too,
Or
o
segundos.
segundos, any advice in general, even for us here today. Like, what do you want to share for those chingonas and lloronas out there?
Advice, I would say, and I've been saying this recently, but thank everything that has never worked out for you because it's allowing you to make space for everything that will.
Mm-hmm.
And know that you're going to end up in the exact place that you need to, but you just need to sometimes let things be.
Mm-hmm.
Let things be. Entonces, a veces when there's gente que no cree en nosotros, let them not believe in you.
I love
Because
it.
you can control what you believe for yourself
Mm-hmm.
and hold on to those people that do believe in you. Create community with those people
Yeah.
and remain as intentional as you can every day.
I love that.
I love it. I do think that staying true to yourself and don't listen to those little voice or those people behind you and push
Yeah.
forward. I love it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, where
Mhm.
can our listeners find you?
So you can find me on Instagram and TikTok as La Primera Diary. And we do have a Twitter, but we are not active. But I am starting to be more active on Threads,
Uh-huh.
and putting little messages out there. But yeah, just
Yeah.
that's where you can find me.
I mean, you're one person. You can only do so much.
Yeah.
That is true.
Yeah, it's not easy, girl.
Yeah.
We want to be superheroes, but we have to stay true to ourselves
Yeah.
and limit.
Hmm.
Yeah.
En cuidarnos. Yeah.
Yes.
But thank you so much for joining us today, all the way from New Jersey.
Yes.
Recording this, I think it's going to touch a lot of hearts because I know it did for me.
It did for me too. And I hope this is not the first or last time we speak. And can't wait for you to come visit or for us to maybe go visit you.
Oh, yes. I'm already thinking of like, I'm going to Austin.
I don't know about you, but I already consider us lifelong friends.
Girl, me too. Yes, let it be known now because this is not going to be the last time that we
Like,
talk. And
ya tengo una
I
nueva
mean, I admire you
amiga.
both. Pues, amiga, I te veo in Austin.
Yeah.
But
Thank you so
yes, it
much,
won't be the last
Alondra.
Yeah.
Thank
You
you.
got my number, so yeah.
time.
Thank you so much. Muchas gracias. Take care of yourself. Continue doing chingona moves um
And Llorona moves.
and I hope everyone enjoyed this interview with Alondra. I loved it and just can't wait to maybe have you again in the future, hopefully, to hear another story of you continue doing chingona moves and touching all those primeras hearts. And yeah, so
Yeah, and we will put her information in the description of the podcast episode. And remember que
aquí sí lloramos.